Every day you promise yourself you'll wake up early, but when the alarm rings, you hit snooze again and again. Now you feel rushed, unmotivated, and stuck in the same cycle. Today, we're going to break that cycle and take control of your life before the sun even rises. You ever notice how the hardest battle of your day happens before your feet even touch the ground? That moment when the alarm goes off, it's early, still dark, your room is quiet, your body feels heavy, your mind starts negotiating. Just 5 more minutes. That's where discipline is born. Not in the gym, not at work, not when people are watching. Right there in the silence of the early morning, when nobody's clapping for you, when nobody's holding you accountable but you. See, discipline isn't something you turn on when it's convenient. It's not a switch you flip when you feel motivated. Discipline is built in the moments when you don't feel like doing anything at all, but you do it anyway. And waking up early. That's one of the purest forms of discipline there is, because it forces you to confront yourself. No distractions, no excuses, just you versus you. You see, most people think discipline is about doing big things. They think it's about making huge sacrifices, dramatic changes, overnight success. But that's not how it works. Discipline is quiet. It's small decisions repeated every single day. It's choosing to get up when your body says stay down. It's choosing purpose over comfort. It's choosing growth over ease. And when you wake up early, you're not just starting your day, you're setting the tone for your entire life. Because how you start your morning determines how you show up everywhere else. If you start your day with hesitation, you'll hesitate when things get hard. If you start your day with excuses, you'll carry those excuses into your work, your goals, your relationships. But if you start your day with discipline, with intention, with control, then you move differently. You think differently. You become different. That early morning, it's more than just time. It's training. Training your mind to act instead of react. Training your body to move even when it's uncomfortable. Training your spirit to stay committed no matter how you feel. Because feelings, they change. Some mornings you'll feel motivated. Some mornings you won't. But discipline doesn't care about how you feel. It shows up anyway, and that's the edge. That's what separates the people who talk about success from the people who live it. Anybody can be motivated on a good day. Anybody can chase goals when they feel inspired. But can you get up when you're tired? Can you move when your mind is telling you to stay still? Can you push forward when nobody would even know if you didn't? That's discipline. And every time you wake up early, every time you beat that voice in your head that says, stay comfortable, you're building something stronger than motivation. You're building control. Control over your habits, control over your actions, control over your future. Because the truth is, your life isn't shaped by what you do once in a while. It's shaped by what you do consistently. And mornings. Mornings are where consistency is tested the most. There's no applause for waking up early. No reward waiting for you right away. No instant result. Just effort, just commitment. Just you showing up for yourself. And over time, those early mornings start to change you. You become sharper, more focused, more intentional. You stop waiting for the day to happen to you, and you start making the day happen. You stop reacting to life, and you start leading it. Because discipline in the morning doesn't stay in the morning. It follows you into your work, into your decisions, into every challenge you face. It becomes a part of who you are. And once that happens, once discipline becomes your identity, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need reminders. You don't need someone pushing you. You wake up and you go. No questions asked. And that's when everything begins to shift. Because when you master your morning, you start to realize something powerful, that you're not just waking up early. You're waking up with purpose, which is why successful people don't just wake up early for no reason. They understand something deeper about those quiet hours, something most people overlook, something that gives them an advantage before the world even opens its eyes, because there's a different kind of energy in those early moments, a different kind of focus, a different kind of clarity that only exists when the rest of the world is still asleep. And the ones who learn how to use that time, who learn how to take control of those hours, are the ones who begin to separate themselves without even realizing it. Because they're not just awake earlier, they're operating on a different level entirely. There's a reason some people seem to move ahead faster than everyone else. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even opportunity. It's ownership. And that ownership begins the moment they open their eyes in the morning. You see, most people wake up and immediately give their day away. They reach for their phone. They check notifications. They scroll through other people's lives. They react instead of act. Before they've even taken a full breath, the world is already telling them how to think, how to feel, what to focus on. That's not control. That's surrender. But successful people, they don't surrender their mornings. They own them. They understand something most people ignore, that the first hour of your day is not just another hour. It's the foundation, it's the direction, it's the mindset that carries into everything else you do. And when you give that away, you lose more than time. You lose focus. You lose intention. You lose power. Because now your day isn't yours anymore. It belongs to distractions, to noise, to whatever pulls your attention first. But when you own your morning, everything changes. You wake up with purpose, not rushing, not reacting, moving with intention. You decide what matters. You decide where your energy goes. You decide who you become that day. That's power. And it doesn't come from doing something extraordinary. It comes from doing something consistently and doing it first, before the messages, before the stress, before the world starts making demands from you. You take that time and you make a demand from yourself to focus, to grow, to prepare. Because successful people don't wait for the right moment. They create it. And the morning, that's their moment. That's where they think clearly. That's where they plan without pressure. That's where they build momentum before anything can interrupt it. You ever wonder why your days feel rushed? Why it feels like you're always catching up? It's because you started behind. You started your day reacting instead of leading. And once you're in reaction mode, it's hard to get out. One distraction turns into another. One delay turns into a pattern. One lost hour turns into a lost day. But when you take control early, when you own that first part of your day, you're not catching up anymore. You're setting the pace. You're ahead mentally, emotionally, strategically. And that advantage, it compounds because now you're making decisions from a place of clarity, not chaos. You're focused on your goals, not everybody else's priorities. You're building your life instead of just managing it. That's what ownership looks like. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet discipline repeated daily. Waking up and deciding that your time matters, that your goals matter, that your life is too important to be controlled by habits that keep you stuck. Because let's be real, hitting snooze isn't just about sleep. It's about hesitation. Scrolling your phone isn't just about entertainment. It's about distraction. And every time you choose those things first, you're telling yourself something. You're saying, I'll start later, but later is where dreams get delayed. Later is where goals lose momentum. Later is where average lives are built. Successful people don't live in later. They live in now. Right now when the alarm rings. Right now when the mind is clear. Right now when most people are still choosing comfort over growth. That's when they move. That's when they act. That's when they take control. Because they understand that success isn't something you chase someday. It's something you build daily, starting with how you wake up. And when you truly own your morning, you stop depending on motivation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You operate from habit, from structure, from a mindset that says, no matter what happens today, I've already started strong. And that changes everything. Because when you start strong, you stay strong. When you lead early, you lead all day. When you take control at the beginning, it's a lot harder for anything to take control away from you later. That's why mornings matter so much. Not because of the time, but because of what that time represents. It represents a choice between distraction and direction, between comfort and growth, between reacting to life or creating it. And the ones who choose to create, the ones who choose to own that time, protect that time, and use that time with intention, they begin to notice something different about their lives. They're not just more productive, they're more focused, more aligned, more aware of what actually matters. Because in those early hours, when everything is still, when there's no noise pulling them in 100 different directions, they're able to see clearly enough to think deeper, clearly enough to plan smarter, clearly enough to connect their actions with their future. And that clarity, that rare, uninterrupted clarity, becomes the real advantage, because while everyone else is rushing into the day without direction, the ones who own their mornings are already building something meaningful, already taking steps that most people won't even think about until it's too late. And that's where the real separation begins to happen, in those quiet hours where focus sharpens vision expands, and purpose starts to take shape, setting the stage for something even greater that goes beyond discipline and ownership, something that starts to define not just your mornings, but your entire future. There's a hidden window in every single day, a window most people sleep through. A window where distractions are silent, where the noise hasn't started, where the world hasn't made its demands yet. That window, that's where your future is built. Not later in the day when everything gets busy. Not when your phone is ringing, messages are coming in, people need your attention. No, your future is shaped in those early hours when it's just you, your thoughts, and your decisions. Because during the day you react, but in the morning you create, and there's a difference, a big one. You see, when the world wakes up, it comes with expectations, deadlines, responsibilities, pressure. It pulls you in different directions. It tells you what needs to be done and how fast you need to do it. And before you realize it, your time is gone, your energy is spent, and the things that truly matter to you, they get pushed to the side. But early in the morning, none of that exists. There's no pressure, no interruptions, no one asking anything from you. That's your space, your time, your opportunity to focus on what actually moves your life forward. That's why people who wake up early don't just wake up to get things done. They wake up to work on themselves, to think deeper, to plan with clarity, to build something meaningful step by step without distraction. Because let's be honest, the things that change your life, they require focus, real focus. The kind of focus you can't get when your attention is constantly being pulled away. The kind of focus that only exists when everything else is quiet. And that's what the early morning gives you. It gives you control over your attention. And wherever your attention goes, your future follows. So if your attention is scattered all day, reacting, rushing, trying to keep up, but then your future becomes scattered too. Unclear, unstructured, uncertain. But if your attention is focused early, intentional, aligned with your goals, then your future starts to take shape clearly, powerfully, step by step. Because every morning you wake up early, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're saying, this matters. You're saying, I'm serious about my growth. You're saying, I'm not waiting for the perfect time, I'm using the time I have. And those small decisions, they don't feel big in the moment. They feel quiet, almost invisible. But over time, they build something unstoppable. Because success isn't built in one big moment. It's built in small, consistent actions done when nobody's watching. And early mornings, that's where those actions live. That's where progress happens without applause. That's where discipline turns into results. Because while the world is asleep, you're gaining ground. You're learning something new. You're working on your craft. You're strengthening your mindset. And no one sees it. No one celebrates it. But it's happening up, day by day, morning by morning. You start to move differently, think differently, operate on a level that most people can't understand because they've never experienced that kind of quiet focus. They've never felt what it's like to work without distractions, to build without interruption, to move forward without noise slowing them down. And that's the advantage. That's the separation. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters when it matters most. And the early morning, that's when it matters most. Because that's when your mind is fresh. That's when your energy is untouched. That's when your ideas are clear and your potential is wide open. You're not tired yet. You're not overwhelmed. You're not distracted. You're ready. And what you do in that state carries weight. It sticks, it builds, it compounds over time into something real, something powerful. Because when you consistently use that time to improve, even just a little bit each day, you don't stay the same. You evolve. You grow into someone who doesn't just dream about success, but works for it quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And eventually that work starts to show. Not overnight, but gradually. In your results, in your confidence, in the way you carry yourself. Because you know something others don't. You know what you've been doing while they were sleeping. You know the effort that's been put in. You know the discipline that's been built. And that gives you an edge that can't be faked. An edge that comes from preparation, from consistency, from showing up when it's hardest. And that edge, it doesn't just help you keep up, it puts you ahead. Because while others are starting their day trying to figure things out, you've already made progress. You've already invested in yourself. You've already moved one step closer to the life you're trying to build. And over time, those steps create distance. Distance between who you used to be and who you're becoming. Distance between you and the people who keep choosing comfort over growth. Because while they're waiting for the right moment, you've been using every morning to create it. And that's when it starts to click, that your future isn't something far away. It's something you're building right now in real time, in those quiet early hours where everything is still and full of possibility, where every decision carries weight, where every action moves you forward or holds you back. And the more you understand that, the more you realize that those mornings aren't just about productivity, they're about transformation. They're about becoming someone who refuses to stay average, someone who refuses to stay comfortable, someone who understands that growth requires sacrifice. Because the truth is, comfort will always be there, waiting for you, calling you back, trying to keep you where you are. And if you're not careful, if you don't recognize it for what it is, it will quietly take control and slowly pull you away from everything you've been working to build. Comfort, it feels good, doesn't it? Warm bed, soft pillow, no pressure, no urgency, just ease. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because comfort doesn't challenge you. It doesn't push you. It doesn't demand anything from you. It lets you stay the same. Day after day, week after week, year after year. And the scariest part, you don't even realize it's happening. You think you're resting. You think you're taking it easy. You think you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into later and later turns into never. That's how comfort works, quietly, patiently. It doesn't destroy your dreams all at once. It slowly replaces them with excuses. You're tired. You deserve a break. It's too early. Just one more hour. And every time you listen, every time you give in, you move further away from the life you said you wanted. Because greatness doesn't live in comfort. It lives in effort, in struggle, in doing the things that don't feel good in the moment, but build something powerful over time, and waking up early. That's one of those things. Because let's be real, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Your body resists it. Your mind questions it. Everything in you wants to stay where it's comfortable. But that resistance, that's the signal. That's how you know it matters. Because anything that has the power to change your life will challenge you first. It will test you. Ask you, how bad do you really want it? And most people, they answer that question without even thinking. They hit snooze. They turn over. They choose comfort. Not because they don't have dreams, but because comfort feels stronger than commitment in that moment. And that's the difference. That one decision, that one choice between staying where you are or pushing yourself forward, it doesn't look big. It doesn't feel important, but it is. Because those small choices, repeated over time, become your life. You don't wake up one day successful. You wake up successful because of what you did on days when it was hard, when it was uncomfortable, when it would have been easier to quit. That's where greatness is built. Not in the spotlight, not when everything is going your way, but in those quiet moments of resistance, when it's just you and the decision to either stay comfortable or grow. And growth is never comfortable. It stretches you. It challenges you. It forces you to become someone you've never been before. And that process, it's not easy, but it's necessary, because the person you are right now can only take you so far. If you want more, you have to become more. And becoming more requires letting go of comfort, letting go of the habits that keep you stuck, letting go of the mindset that says, this is enough. Because deep down, you know it's not. You know you're capable of more. You know you can do more. But comfort tells you to settle, to stay where it's safe, to avoid the struggle. But safe doesn't build success. Safe doesn't create growth. Safe keeps you exactly where you are. And if you stay there long enough, you don't just stay the same, you fall behind. Because while you're choosing comfort, someone else is choosing discipline. While you're sleeping in, someone else is waking up and putting in the work. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is creating it. That's the reality. And it doesn't care about how you feel, it responds to what you do. So every morning you're faced with a choice, comfort or growth, ease or effort, average or greatness. And that choice, it shows up in the simplest form, an alarm clock, a moment, a decision. Do you stay where it's comfortable, or do you get up and chase something greater? Because understand this, the life you want, it exists, but it exists outside your comfort zone. And the only way to reach it is to step out again and again every single day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when nobody's watching, because that's what it takes. Consistency and discomfort, effort without excuses, discipline without negotiation. And when you start living like that, when you stop choosing comfort and start choosing growth, something shifts. You get stronger, not just physically, but mentally. You build resilience. You build confidence. You build a mindset that doesn't break under pressure because it's been trained in discomfort. And suddenly, the things that used to feel hard, they don't control you anymore because you've learned how to move through resistance instead of avoiding it. You've learned that discomfort isn't something to fear. It's something to use, something to lean into, something that shapes you into the person capable of achieving everything you've been working toward. And that's when greatness stops feeling like a distant idea and starts becoming your reality, because now you're not just waking up early. You're not just owning your mornings. You're not just working on your future in silence. Now you're becoming someone who refuses to settle, someone who understands that every single day is an opportunity to rise, to grow, to push beyond limits. And it all comes back to that same moment where it started, that same decision, that same early morning where everything is on the line and nothing is guaranteed except the choice you make when the alarm rings and the world is still asleep, waiting to see if you'll stay the same or finally wake up and take control of your life. So now you see it. It was never just about waking up early. It was about discipline, the kind you build when nobody's watching. It was about ownership, taking control of your time before the world takes it from you. It was about your future being shaped in silence while others sleep. It was about comfort and having the courage to walk away from it. This isn't complicated, but it's not easy either, because every single day you're going to face that same moment, that same test, that same choice. When the alarm rings and your mind starts talking, that's where everything you just heard becomes real. Not in theory, not in motivation, but in action. Because at the end of the day, your life is not built by what you say you'll do. It's built by what you do consistently. Early mornings won't magically change your life overnight, but they will change you. And when you change, everything around you starts to change. Your habits, your mindset, your direction, and eventually your results. So don't look for the perfect time. Don't wait for motivation to show up. Don't negotiate with comfort. Just make the decision. And when that moment comes tomorrow morning, you already know what to do. Get up and take control and become the person you said you wanted to be.